Hi everybody, it's Peter from Ocean Analog Recording Studios in Long Beach, New York, www.oceananalog.com. Today I'm going to do a review on FXpansion BFD 3 drum production tool. Before I get started, I just want to say that, as a producer and an engineer and a songwriter, there is to me nothing like a real drummer. There's, obviously a great drummer behind a great sounding drum kit, mic'd up and recorded properly. There's nothing like it. But these production tools, these software tools, obviously they have great samples. They have real drummers playing real grooves into them. And the software has gotten pretty sophisticated to where they really sound pretty authentic. And you can do, make songs with these things, and people do, and soundtracks and all that kind of stuff. And it's, I guess it's just a pretty wild sign of the times. So let's talk about BFD3 and my experience with it. I've had it about a little over a week right now. First thing I want to tell you is the install. The install is pretty easy. If you buy it online, it's a download, and it's like 40 gigabytes of downloading. So it takes a little time to download it. And then once you download it, it has to install and then expand. And that takes the whole process is a good few hours. So let me just tell you that it's not a big deal. If if you're in a rush to do it, you're going to get frustrated. So it's a little bit that way. I also found the install to be a little bit quirky. I installed it on 2 machines. By the way, when you buy the product, they give you 3 installs. So you can install it on your studio computer, your laptop, and you have 1 extra install. I installed this on my Mac Pro in the studio, and it was a little quirky. Just a couple little things you really got to read and look, and there's some updates, blah, 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 blah. And then the installer itself, didn't show me, the little dialogues would come up without any words in them, things like that. The ironic thing is when I installed it on my laptop, it seemed to have installed much easier, and everything seemed to work. So maybe I just had a memory glitch in this computer or something. I don't know. Anyway, I got it installed, and I'm going to tell you that this software is amazing. It's really, really powerful. But with that said, there's a learning curve to it, and it gets a little in depth and a little complex. You got to spend some time with it. And you will be able to do amazing things. So let me start by this. It comes with presets, and when you load in a preset, it loads in the preset, a basic mix and effects, and different grooves. So any one of these that I load in, it'll do that. I'm gonna work with it a little differently today. I'm gonna do everything manually. So I'm gonna go to Kits first, and when I click on Kits, you'll see in this window. These are all the drum kits that it comes with. By the way, you can obviously buy more kits and grooves and expansions and make your own as well. So I'm going to load in this rock drum kit right here. Okay, little dialogue saying anything that's there will be lost. So I hit OK, and you'll see the samples actually loading up right here where my mouse is. And when that's done, those little things. Okay, so everything's loaded now, and I can actually, right on screen, hit the kick drum. You hear that? And I hit the snare, hi-hat, toms. All right, so that's the basic rock kit that it loads up. And by the way, if I hit the snare, different places, it gives me different articulations. And you can key map to your keyboard all the articulations and all the different things that it does. Now, let's select the snare drum here. So I'm on the snare drum, and you'll see over here that it gives me different options, for the sound, the tuning. I can bleed in the kick drum. I can, which is amazing. Like if you recorded your snare drum on a live kit, you would have bleed from other drums, right? So that lets you do that over here, which is really amazing. The other thing it lets you do, if you go to model, it lets you do dampening, things like choke response. You can do cymbal swells, different articulations, obviously, drag, flam, half edge, hit, rim shots. So you can adjust parameters for all of these, and it's really wild. It's really pretty incredible. So and by the way, if you want to change the sound, once you load a kit up, let's say you love the kick, which I would really do on this one, and the snare, it's okay. So if I double click on the snare, it automatically loads over here in this window all the snare drums that are available to me. So I can click on one, and without loading it, I can just sample it. And if I like it, I just hit the little check mark, and there it loads in. So that's that snare. Okay, next thing let's talk about is this mix window. This mix window is really cool. Does a lot of things. You'll see this little triangle right here next to like the kick and the snare. So if I open this up, I have my kick inside mic, I have my kick outside mic, and I have a sub mic, which I assume is like those, the speakers they turn into the little microphones in front, and I can adjust the volumes of each of these, or I can turn them on and off, or I can adjust each one of these individually. So it's again really powerful. Same with the snare. And then another really cool thing is, remember I was showing you with the bleed and all that? Well, here is what's called the ambient mix channel. All right, and when I expand the ambient mix channel, you will see that it provides me with overhead mics, mono room mics. Here's another room, comp mics, ambient mics, and I can, when I build my mix, I can actually mix right in here. By the way, BFD, I'm using it inside of Pro Tools, but it's also a standalone product as well. It will work standalone. And I can actually keep BFD running as a plugin and do my whole mix of my drums here. Now let me show you something else that's really cool about it. So again, it's so versatile, and it gets so deep, and it's also, you can keep things simpler. If you load a preset, everything's already pretty much done. But let's take the snare drum and let's go to effects. So let's just say I want to add an effect to my snare drum. So I can just simply go, let's say a compressor. So now I just added a compressor to the whole snare drum channel, and I can, adjust it accordingly. And we'll hear that in a minute. Let's do this. Let's go to grooves. When I click on grooves, you'll see that I get a master list of different styles of grooves. And this is, the way they do this is really cool. So if I go to, let's say, we have rock drums. Let's go with some rock grooves. Where are my essential? Here it is. Okay, so essential rock right there. So I click on that, and then underneath, this shows me all the grooves that are associated with that selection. So all these grooves are essential rock grooves, and they all work together. So if let's listen to one. Now remember I showed you I put a compressor on the snare? So I can actually now adjust this. And I can do a different compressor. Here's a hard compressor. They have different presets in here, which is really cool. So that makes it a little more snappier. And again, I can put effects on anything. I can click the kick drum, and I can add a compressor to that if I wanted to. Let's do on the kick drum. Let's solo that and hit the groove. Or let's use one of the presets. medium. And I can simply just turn it on and off to listen to it and not listen to it. All right, so when we play a groove, we're listening to a lot of things right now. Again, the effects, and then also, again, what I was trying to tell you, when you build the mix with this ambient track, listen to it. So that's just the kick and snare and hi-hat. And as I bring this up, you're going to hear all the ambient sounds come up. So it makes it sound like it's a real drum kit now. You hear the difference? And they're all pretty much, so you can go in and obviously adjust these. You'll hear what they all do now. Hold on a second, I'll let you hear it. So here are the overheads. So it's giving you some high-end overhead stuff. Turn that off. Here's the room mic. Bring that down. Hear what that's doing? That's the room mic. And then you have different mics like these comp mics. You have this ambient mic. This brings a lot of room into it as well. And you know, you can turn them all on and then just mix them the way you want to mix them, and then close it, and then you have an overall comp mix on your ambient mix track. Really pretty amazing. And that's one of the things that I love about BFD is the versatility and the way you can mix it and get that really live drum sound. Another cool thing, by the way, I got to take you into this. You click on dashboard over here, and you have this thing called anti-machine gun mode, and it's usually on. It was on by default for me. And the best way I can describe what it does is when you play the groove. So basically, what's happening is when you play the groove with anti-machine gun mode on, every hit is a little bit different tone, is a little bit different dynamic level. So it instead of like an old drum machine like an SP12, you put a sample in, you hit it, and even if it's a great drum sample, it's pretty much, once you program that beat, the beat's going to play the same over and over again. What this does is this randomly picks different levels and tones. It varies it a little bit for the drums, and then you can adjust how much it varies. It varies those parameters with these knobs. Did I not say that right? So let me explain it again. So if I select, let's say, the kick drum, all right, and by the way, this is by drum or track or whatever you want, but let's say I select the kick drum. I can go into AMG and I can select every time it hits how, the variation, master loudness variation, master tonal variation. This is master dynamics and master tune. But these two parameters, when you adjust them more and more and more, it will make a big difference in how the whole drum kit sounds. It's really wild. Great feature in BFD3, and I don't think I've seen this type of thing in any other drum production tool that's out there. And I have them pretty much all the really popular ones. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of other good stuff out, and there's a lot of easier to understand products out there. But I think BFD3 is the most powerful. If you spend the time with it and learn all this stuff, you can really get amazing results. And that's what I'm trying to tell you, what I like about BFD3. Okay, so we went through loading the kit. We went through grooves. Let me show you the groove editor. This is pretty cool. So let's say I'm in Essential Rock and I know I want to use these first 4 grooves, right? First 5 grooves. I take these grooves and I drag them out into what's called the palette over here. This is the palette of the groove editor. Now, I can now go into these grooves and I can change them, edit them. I can do an option drag, and I can copy that groove and vary it. Watch. So if I do that, and let's say I want to add a couple more kick drums. Let's try it again. See that? So I can literally hit new groove, and I can use the pencil tool and draw a new groove in. But of course, I can real-time play a new groove in as well by hitting new groove and hooking up a USB or a MIDI keyboard or trigger pad and play it in as well. So it gives you those options. Again, what it reminds me of is like an MPC60, an MPC or an SP12 or any kind of drum machine that you were used to going like this on, and you can basically create all your grooves. So these would be like your patterns. Okay, they call this a palette, but these are your patterns, right? Now let's say I have my song. You know, I want to take these patterns and make them into a song. Well, there's a lot of things you can do. You can build a song right inside of BFD by taking these patterns and dragging them down to the song track right here. So I can take one, I can do another one right next to it, then I can take this groove and put it over here, and you can keep doing it. Take one more and I'll put it in. All right, now if I want to sample that, I just hit playback. All right, so you see how that's working. Now here's another really cool feature. I don't have to use the built-in editor or the song track. I can take any of these grooves, whether from the grooves list over here or from my palette, and I can just drag that groove right into Pro Tools. And there it is. And let me expand that. So there is my groove right there. In fact, I'll put it like that. And now if I turn groove off here and I go into Pro Tools and I just hit play, it's playing out of Pro Tools now. And it's in my MIDI editor of Pro Tools, and I can obviously go in with all my tools in Pro Tools and just, you know, add, you know, whatever I want. And I know that's going to sound really funny now, but anyway, I can go and add, edit, and make all my changes there. Let me undo those. So that's really a cool thing. And obviously I can change the existing notes and drums and stuff around. So I could do that all right inside of my Pro Tools or any other DAW, whether, you know, it's Ableton or whatever you're using. I love using Ableton and Pro Tools. Those are my two main ones. So that's how you edit inside of your workstation. Now I'm going to show you something really pretty cool. Let's go over here. There's a little secret thing when you're in the Groove Editor. If you go under Tools and you say Drag Exports Audio, not MIDI, check this out. I'm going to show you a couple little cool tricks. And now I drag this out, and there are my drums in audio, stereo audio. So that's my drums in stereo audio, and that's a loop. Now I'm going to show you something even cooler, which is really wild. Watch this. Let's go back into Kit, and let's see these ARM tracks. This is not really for recording. This is really telling BFD what we're going to output to our workstation. So if I turn these on, and then I go over here and I turn on my ambient tracks. So let's say I want all these ambient tracks. All right. And one other thing I need to do, I go into Preferences. Whoops. And I go over to Grooves. And see this right here, 1 track for all drums? Well, I can go 1 track per drum, which is pretty cool. You'll see why in a minute. I'm going to go back to my groove editor, and I'm going to take this first groove. Check this out, guys. I drag this out, let it go, and now it has created automatically all my audio on separate tracks. There's my kick. You hear the bleed, by the way? There's some bleed in there, so it sounds real. My snare. Hear the bleed? Because those are parameters that we set. How much bleed we wanted. And let's scroll down. Here are all my ambient mics right in there. And you can relabel these tracks accordingly. Did it? So it did a stereo track as well. Okay, so that's my ambient track. Here's my room. Here's one of my room mics. So it gets a nice kick and snare in the room. And of course, I can go into my Pro Tools mixer and, you know, mix them like real drums. And the ambient here, the overheads are stereo. All right, so it knew to make the overhead track stereo. It knew to make this track, this room mic stereo. Again, I didn't have to make any of those settings. BFD automatically did that for me. So that's really, those are some of the major features right there. And I'm just, you know, quickly showing, I mean, there's a lot more to it, and it gets a lot deeper, and it is a little bit of a learning curve. But once you master these things, if you spend a couple of days with it and really go through the manuals and all the video tutorials that are available, you'll pick it up, and you just got to play with it. And at the beginning, you might get a little frustrated with it. I did at the beginning. It was like, oh, it's like, you know, it's like you can't just go in and bam, have an amazing drum track. But if you spend the time, and once you learn it, you'll see that it is the workflow. It makes sense. They did a really good job. The samples are excellent. They did an excellent job with the recording. The grooves are great. There's, you know, expansion packs that you can buy. And I sent an email to them, and they responded within, you know, 12 hours by email, which I think is fine, you know, if you have a question or you're having an issue. So they're very responsive. FXpansion BFD 3 drums. I think it's a great product. And again, by the way, I think I paid $300 or $240. I forget what I paid exactly, but they're not the cheapest. But you know, you get what you pay for. It's a lot of stuff that this does. Now you can go and buy a product like TuneTrack's Easy Drummer at I think that's like $99, and it's a great product, and it's very easy to learn, pretty much drag and drop, and you can get good results with a product like that. But it will not give you all the parameters and expandability and options that BFD 3 does. So you have to decide, you know, what you're looking to do exactly. But I think this is a great product, and I highly recommend it. Again, thank you for watching this review of FXpansion's BFD 3 production drum tool. And I'll be doing some more reviews in the future, some cool stuff. Talk to you all soon.